All right, welcome back. It is definitely time for some tea, and I'm your host, Nikita. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your space, and your amazing energy with me today. I have talked a lot about being intentional and showing up. And one of the ways that reminds me to be intentional and present is when you are creating moments that are more than just memories. That is why it is such an honor today to welcome Carl Bassfield, entrepreneur and owner of In Depth Productions today. Through his innovative photography business, Carl has been able to revolutionize the way people create and preserve cherished memories. Since launching his photography business, he has been inspiring people to make the best out of life's special moments, whether it's your wedding, graduation, or those precious, cherished family moments. He believes that through his artistry, people can more deeply appreciate the beauty of life's milestones and create lasting connections with their loved ones. And today he is spilling some tea with us on his journey, what he has learned, as well as sharing some insights so that you may learn from him and work from the blueprint he has set in place. So, Carl, welcome.
Hey, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your time and, I'm honored to be able to be here with you and speak on this day.
Well, thank you. I don't think we were ever formally introduced. I
Mhm.
do remember the first time I saw you. You were taking some pictures at one of our town council meetings, and I leaned over and I asked my husband, I was like, who's the guy with the camera? I just knew at that moment, I was like, he's doing something amazing. Like he's capturing a moment in memory that I will forever remember.
Thank you. Yeah, making memories and making art. That's two things that I'm always talking about. I'll tell people in a minute, let's make memories, let's capture those memories. Or, right before a session, I'll look at my clients and I'll say, all right, let's make art. So
And that's what it is, though. It is truly, truly art. And you have to tell us because I always was very curious about how your journey started, like what led you to the path of photography.
It was iPhone photography actually. I had been taking pictures, with my iPhone, and I got real good at it. And a friend of mine asked me to shoot her wedding, and I was like, I don't have a real camera, right? And she was like, it's okay, it's okay. So I did all of her formals, I did her wedding, I even did the video at the same time, but pressing that button, taking pictures simultaneously. And brought it home and I downloaded some cheap editing software and I put everything together. And that's when I knew I was like, it's something to this. I want to turn this into, a business. I want to create generational wealth for my child,
Mhm.
So from there, I talked to my pastor about it and he had a camera, a real camera, and he lent it to me. So I was taking pictures at church. I didn't know anything about the settings and stuff, and I was getting, pretty good. So I decided, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna study, and I'm on YouTube University, and I was working at the bowling alley, living check to check out in Fort Lee, but I'm a federal employee, I got these federal benefits. That's what I knew. Um, and I saved up enough money to get me my first camera. It was a Canon, I think like T6. I think it was like $500 or $600, and I remember I was like, "This is a huge investment." Like that $500 or $600 was everything. And from there, I linked up with a mentor of mine. He's out of California. I met him in Fort Pickett. We were doing contract work out there, and lo and behold, I'm working with cameras out there, and he was in charge. He's been on a lot of Hollywood sets and things like that, and he had me move to the editing team, and they taught me how to edit videos. And from that summer, I made a decision that I wanted to run my own business. Juan took me under his wing, and he started teaching me everything. And I launched my business, using that little camera and move from there.
That is amazing. Prior to you said you got the iPhone, was it an iPhone?
Yeah, it was an iPhone.
Oh, cool. I'm not a big fan of iPhones, but
Hey, that's a whole nother tangent for a whole nother T topic.
yes. But when you first started taking those photos prior to someone asking you, were you already kind of falling in love with like the art of taking
Oh yeah.
photos?
Oh yes, landscape photos, pictures of my child, like you name it. Like I have pictures framed of, like my son and his mom and stuff like that, all from the iPhone. Because I've been with Apple since the beginning.
Gotcha. I got you. I'm not going to say anything about Apple. I've been tempted to get an iPhone before, so I'm not going to say too much. What
Hey,
was it? Yeah.
and we're actually going to talk about that because that's a part of the workflow and a part of the equipment list for not just
Okay.
me, but for many photographers. And it's a growing thing. It's one of them, you got to get with it or get lost type deal. So yeah, we'll talk about that though.
Okay. Can you take me back to the feeling you had when when she first asked you, hey, this is an important moment in my life. Like, I want you to be responsible to not just take pictures of my wedding, but to film it. Cause that's a lot of like that's huge.
Yes. I was nervous, the butterflies in my stomach. I was lightheaded a little bit because, to me, this is a big moment. You can't get a redo. There is no let's start over. Let's, run that back. So I took it seriously. And I take every shoot seriously, whether it's pictures, videos, no matter what it is that I'm doing, especially since then. And yeah, I was very nervous, but we got through it.
Yes, you did. And look at you now building a whole empire. Like I literally just watched like from the first time I met you. And then as I'm watching your career continue to grow and you're building this amazing, business. I call businesses empire though. I feel like we're
Yes.
building empires for real.
Yes.
And I'm just always like, wow, like this is so amazing. Like he's not just talking about doing it, he's actually doing it.
Yes. And like you, I've used Empire before, but I always tell people I don't have a small business. I have a growing empire, a growing company, a future Fortune 500 company. You know what I'm saying? Like I refuse to be put in a box. I do believe that the power of life and death lies with the tongue. So I believe in speaking these things over, my business, my company. So yeah, I don't have a small business. I have a growing company.
Yes. And I love the fact that your pastor took a moment to say, I believe in you and I'm going to give you your first start to having that opportunity to take the pictures that led to you like I'm going to build this. I'm going to invest in myself because I think some people forget that there's nothing wrong with being self-taught. You can self-teach. I've done a lot of self-teaching,
Hmm.
continue, but it's the investment that really starts making the difference because that's the action.
Yes. And a lot of people don't realize it, but I didn't have anybody else other than him that was willing to make that investment. Nobody else thought that this was a viable business or something, that could take off. I was looking for help to try to buy this camera and the things that I need. Nobody wanted to go there. So I had to go in, what I'm saying? I had to believe in myself. I had to show that this is something that I was serious about. And once I took it seriously and other people saw how serious I took it, then other people started taking it serious too.
So you are literally building the blueprint for your business. So what was some of the best advice you've got so far?
Some of the best advice I've gotten so far is to find a family, network, and connect. So the group that I'm a part of, the Peculiar Collective, that's my family. That's my tribe. I mean, we're almost 1,000 strong now, but out of that 1,000, what I'm saying, it's quite a few of us that are like really, 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 really close. I mean, we come together, we take trips, we do photo walks, we're on Zoom almost every single night. You know what I'm saying? Like we're we're having conversations to keep each other sharp and saying we're passing business between each other. There is no competition in the collective. I'm saying? Like all of the things that I can talk to you about, different things that I've learned, a lot of it comes from the collective. Yeah, I have my mentors, but my second mentor is a member of this collective. But grow with somebody. Don't think that you have to be in this alone. There's more than enough business out here for all of us. We don't have to fight. I'm saying? We can get it together. I might have gotten the wedding, but guess what? I need a second shooter. Now you can eat too. We have to look at it. We got to change our mindsets, and when we work with each other, don't try to steal business because, like I said, we can get it together. When I go and shoot for other people, I don't take business cards with me because I'm not there as my business. I'm there representing the person that asked me to be there to help them. And I know that as long as I'm helping them build, that when they grow, I grow. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the business that I have didn't come from just me being alone out here, fighting. It came from making connections with other people.
I can't stress how important it is to have a community of people that support you, that continue to challenge you and hold you accountable. And for the people who don't and they're still looking for their community, sometimes you have to build the community that you want to have.
Yeah. See, look, to me, this is so much in life, reverts back to church. And a lot of people are like, well, why do I need to go to church? It's about being around like-minded people, sharing in experiences and helping one another grow, helping each other become sharp. Yeah, everybody has their different personalities and their different ways, but we can all draw from each other, so that's how I view this whole thing. It's like church to me.
Yeah. And I would say because I'm very introverted, I'm a very introverted person. People don't believe that, but I going out into public settings and being around a large amount of people really I have to mentally prepare myself for those moments to to
Yeah.
to put myself out there. But once I'm there, I get so excited because when you start talking to people about what lights them up, what brings them joy,
Mhm.
and when someone starts to ask you, so what do you do? It's like, okay, you really ready for this? Because I'm about to just tell you, you know, but that is the way you start meeting people and learning and connecting. You have to put yourself out there, and sometimes it gets uncomfortable, but it's always worth it.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I was always shy. And like you said, people will be like, no, because, I'm a minister. I can stand up there on the podium and preach. I've traveled doing, poetry and stuff like that. But what people don't realize is prior to that, I have to work myself up to the moment, of me being in front of people. And yeah, so I get it.
Yes. What is some of the worst advice? I don't say the worst, but the some advice that made you like, really? Like, why would you tell me to do that?
Yes. Um, when I first, started networking with people, I had a lot of people that told me to find a niche and stick with that. Either you're going to be a wedding photographer or a portrait photographer or, you know, find a niche. And I kept telling them, I'm not just a photographer. I own a production company. We produce, we do everything. I can't be put in a box. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand what they were saying, find something and specialize in it because I think it's an old saying, what is it, uh jack of all trades, master of none, or something like that. So I get that, but I would tell people, don't limit yourself. Just go out there, figure out what it is that you like. If you decide that you want to stick with one thing and capitalize on it, go for it. But with me, when it comes to photography, videography, things of that nature, if it can be shot, I'll shoot it. That's me. If it's something I'm not comfortable with or that, I don't really care to do, I'll pass it off to another photographer. I'm going to try though.
Yeah. I think that's true though. I think we're all creative beings. So trying to pick one thing and just do one thing, like
Mm,
we're capable of doing so much more. And like you said, what you're doing, like there's just so many levels to it. Like you just can't do one.
yeah. Exactly. And what's funny is because one of the biggest things is that I'm a hybrid shooter. I do photography and I do videography. And one thing that I've noticed is a lot of the same ones who told me, I need to pick one and focus on one, they're doing both now. I haven't said anything because I'm not that type of person, but they're doing both now, and more are starting to do that. It was like I'm gonna say during or maybe just after the major parts of COVID that I started to see a shift in the industry and the people, my peers, the ones that are hardcore photography, and now they're doing video. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So like, yeah, If it's in your gut and it's something that you're feeling, if you feel like, I don't need to be in this box, don't get in it. Keep pushing. Do your
Yes.
thing.
And you've talked about that push too, and how iPhones and the way that we're using technology to video and take pictures has also changing. Take us into
Yes.
that.
Then when it comes to using the iPhone and adding that into my workflow, at first it was kind of embarrassing, like, I feel like I'm going backwards. I show up to an event, nobody wants to see you, like that with your hands up with a phone. But when you look deeper into the phone and its settings, it shoots the exact same way as our cameras, but it's a lot easier. The file size is smaller. The transferring it from device to computer is faster. Like, why wouldn't I want to save time? If I'm going to shoot something at 4K 60 and I'm going to get a particular quality, I'm going to do the one that's the easiest, so that way I can get the work back to my client. um I've done work, and even my peers didn't realize that I used two iPhones and a drone. You see what I'm saying? I've done work for the county. And they didn't realize what devices I use, and I didn't tell them because, number one, they don't need to know what devices I use. What's important is the quality of what I'm delivering to you. Yeah,
Mhm.
people might think, oh, well, I get my nephew to use the iPhone. Yes, you can get your nephew to use the iPhone, but your nephew doesn't know the settings like I know the settings. Your nephew doesn't edit the way I edit in post.
Mhm.
So yeah, you kind of have to you have to grow with the times and be flexible. I mean, if I'm gonna record 15 minutes of footage at 4K 60, and I know that my Canon is gonna give me, that footage at probably, who knows, 70, 80 gigabytes. Why would I take that when I know I can get that in 10 gigabytes?
Yeah,
you
that is so true.
I know I have to put up additional lights and all types of stuff, to get the right, picture when I'm using my Canon. And, all that's unnecessary for this little thing that I'm about to do. So I get a tripod and I set my phone up. You know what I'm saying? So
And it makes sense.
it's just one of the things you just got to kind of think. All of my real estate for me is taken off. Realtors love it. The quality of the work that I'm giving them, I'm crushing it. I do not reduce my prices when it comes to real estate because I know what I deliver. I feel like I'm on the high end of real estate. So, like, when people come to me, they know the listing is going to sell. They know eyes are going to be on the listing. So I don't lowball myself. I do all of my pictures with my Canon camera, because I'm using a wide lens and there's different things I have to do. But all of the video work, iPhone and drone.
I have loved your drone videos of real estate. Like I have been like, it's something about it when it starts to play, you automatically just stop. Like I stop the scroll and I'm just like glued into where you're taking me because it's like a journey.
Oh, the bloopers are even better.
Some of those too, they're funny.
I didn't post the last one because I don't want people to think I just don't know how to fly. But I was flying, and I'm not gonna say where, but I lost transmission and it ran into a sign, a road sign. It scuffed the sign just a little bit because I had a little bit of the green on my drone. And when I pulled the footage, you can see it fly directly into that sign.
Oh my goodness, that is so hilarious. But
Yeah.
you gotta have bloopers. And I think that's the thing people need to realize. It's never gonna go perfect. Like
Oh.
it's always gonna be something that happens, but sharing your imperfections and the fact that, hey, it happened, it's life, the world didn't cave in, I'm
Mhm.
still here and I'm still building.
Yes. Did you see the video I had posted? It was I was doing a house and I posted like a couple of different bloopers together.
I
See,
do.
I originally was gonna post that as a joke, ha ha. But it was in that moment that I realized it was a whole message in that. I could have gave up the first, second, or third time that I tried to fly into the house and didn't get it right, but I kept pushing. I didn't give up. So, even in life, no matter what it is, you might not take those pictures perfect in the beginning. You might not do that video the way you saw, one of these famous people do it, but keep trying and keep pushing. Don't give up. Keep going. It gets better from here. A lot of people don't see the process. A lot of people see the results. You know what I mean? Oh man, it's just so much there.
That is true. And I'll hate when people always say somebody was an overnight success or, they had so much help along the way. And it's like, You have no idea what it took to get this person to where they're at. You don't know their struggles. Nothing is overnight. You are not successful because you wake up one morning and say, "Oh, today I decide to be successful." There's a
Mm-hmm.
journey.
Yes. Yes. All right. So,
Is there anything you would have done differently back in the startup phase of your business?
yes, I wouldn't have spent the amount of money that I spent without first consulting with people who've been in the business longer than I. Um, oh man, I spent thousands of dollars over, course of time in Amazon, buying lights and different lenses and all types of stuff. And when you get with people who are producing images that you just like, I want to be like that when I grow up, you
Mhm.
realize, okay, they didn't waste their time on a crop sensor camera. They went ahead and got a full frame camera. They didn't waste their time on a cheap lens with a variable aperture. They went ahead and, invested in a nice lens. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they didn't have to get all the lenses. They got these particular lenses because these lenses also cover the other focal lengths. So all of that stuff makes a difference. The lights that I lend out to new photographers who are trying to, learn flash are the lights that I bought in the very beginning. I had the nerve to buy two. They're good for people who are trying to learn. But if you want to take this thing seriously, you're going to spend about 600 per light, at least, not 100.
Yeah, that
So
is true though. Yeah. Collected 4 mics.
because you just don't know.
Yeah, and well, I just keep you trying to keep getting, I want the best. I want the next up.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the most expensive mic I have is not my favorite mic. Like it's
Look, I have lights and devices that I do not touch. I have a whole gimbal that I bought before it was released, pre-order, that I personally have not used to make money yet. My cinematographer is just starting to use it, and I think it's about 2 years old now.
Mhm.
Like, I have so much. I remember, see, there's a difference between continuous light and strobe, and the type of picture that you get. A whole continuous lighting kit. Backdrop systems that I look at now and it's in the corner.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
So
take that
I think
stuff
that's
nowhere.
I think that's a great advice piece to people though. Like you don't need to have everything all at once. Get your basic stuff, invest in the most important things, and go
Yes.
from there. What
Yes.
other advice would you give people if they're thinking about, starting a photography business or just figuring out whether this is their true love and if they're ready to invest in it?
Shoot often, every day if you can. Muscle memory. If you're going into it with a part-time mindset, and when I say part-time mindset, like, oh, I'll just take a couple of pictures this week and maybe a couple next week, it's going to take you a very long time to learn and it's going to be difficult. um
Mhm.
if you're going to take it serious, be serious about it. um when I first got into it and got started, that's all I did. I ate, slept, and drank photography, and I was able to excel. The people who there are people who started before me. They have equipment that they've been buying that is almost similar to mine, and they're still not as close to where I am because they're not doing it like they're supposed, often. So repetition, I would definitely say just keep shooting. Find people to shoot, kids, cousins, older people. There's a lot of people like to have their picture taken.
Mhm.
Experiment. Just have fun with it.
Any particular startup camera or lens
um
suggestion?
you can start off with a crop sensor lens, I mean a camera, which would be like your T series cameras in Canon. I'm a Canon shooter. Canon, put it like this, it's like iPhone and Android. When you enter into the photography community, there is a rivalry. I don't shoot Sony. Sony shooters think they're the best out there. Their cameras are only good for video, so I'm gonna say that. Nikon is not in the conversation. Then there's Canon, the top tier. Everybody uses Canons.
I will second that.
So Yeah, but I would definitely say you can use one of those, but if you plan on moving forward, like deep down inside that you want to have a photography business, get you a full frame camera. It doesn't have to be mirrorless, which is the new wave and where everybody's going. It can be mirrored. Just get you a full frame camera, because one thing that I can say is that when you do switch over to a mirrorless camera, you can buy an adapter and you can still use those same lenses. I'm doing it. I only have one of the lenses that technically go with the camera. I'm using the adapter and I'm getting killer images. So,
Oh, well, that's some good advice to know. So I have to ask you, and I ask everyone because I think it's so important that we show up for ourselves.
mhm.
Because as entrepreneurs and as you're building a brand and a business, we have to always take time for ourselves. So how do you practice self-care for yourself?
Whew, that's a good one. Hmm. Well, recently I how do I even recently I have a friend now. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a girlfriend, I have a friend. And I've been spending a lot of time, just hanging out with her, talking to her. But before her, it was photography, sleep, and my
Mhm.
child. That was it. If I took vacation or went on vacations, it was to like WPPI or Imaging USA. Look, to me, that's vacation because photography is my hobby, it's my passion. So I'm in Vegas and I get to talk about and learn about photography from people who are making millions doing it. And then
Yeah.
when it's over with in the afternoon, I'm in Vegas. I'm on the strip. Or I'm in Maryland or something like that. So that's how I was spending my time and I was relaxing. Other people may not see it that way, but I do. Um, Outside of that, I try to have Sundays. Not every Sunday, but I do try to have Sundays to where I go to church, I relax, I come home, I breathe, and just get ready for the week.
I feel you on that.
I
I
do
feel
work
you.
a lot. So yeah, I felt like I had to reach a little bit there.
It's okay. I think the community that you have, being able to just be around people sometimes is a
Mhm,
great part of self-care. I mean, connecting is one of my biggest
mhm.
self-care moments for me
You know,
because I'm
to be
in my own space and I forget I need to come out and be with other people.
to be honest with you, that makes me appreciate our nightly Zooms and our Zoom work groups and focus groups and stuff like that, because it'll be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and you're just sitting there at the computer, you're editing and putting footage together. Most likely I can hop on Zoom and find, 5 or 6 people in the group doing the same thing. Now we're on Zoom and we're editing. We're
Yeah.
like, hey, check this picture out. What y'all think about this? So yeah, definitely got to have that community.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for just taking the time out for us to share your insight, your expertise. Is there anything, any other tea you want to spill?
Yes, before I go, it's one thing that it gets to me a little bit because I edit other photographers' work. White balance. I may have
Mm,
mentioned that to you. White balance. When you go and you take pictures in different venues, the white balance determines the temperature of the picture, whether it's really blue or whether it's really yellow. So, when you're taking pictures of Caucasian people, if the white balance is too low, their skin color will show up bluish. For, African Americans, will come off yellow, especially our fair skinned friends. Um, if you're shooting and you're shooting raw, a lot of people will say, oh, you don't need to set the white balance because you have full control when you edit in post. Yes, that is very true. You do have full control. But sometimes, depending on the circumstances or the situation in which you're shooting, even in post, what I'm saying, you'll struggle to get the correct colors. So just like my mentor told me, get it right in camera before you get home. If you're shooting in JPEG, you cannot the color is going to be baked in. It's going to be a nasty image when you go in, you try to change it and fix it later. So if you can, fix your white balance ahead of time. If you're using a Canon camera, such as the one that I have, the R5, you can set your white balance and you can see it as you set it. You can also use a white balance card, point at it and shoot, and it'll automatically set it for you. Using auto white balance is okay when you're, in a situation where the lighting is not going to change. But if you're doing an event and it has mixed lighting, for example, you have like some overhead lights that are fluorescent, but then you got light bulbs on the wall, your camera's going to struggle to give you the correct white balance, and your pictures are going to be all over the place as far as, the color. So, to save yourself some time and some headache, me personally, I shoot with a manual white balance. I set it myself using, my eye most of the time. So that way in post, I can either change them all at one time or it's already the way it should be. So
That's some good knowledge. I knew a little bit about white balance. And I've been given that same advice before, just, edit it, later. And you're right. It does not does not
yeah.
normally, sometimes it works, but a lot of times it's like this
Mm-hmm.
picture is like garbage
Yeah,
now.
like I always shoot in raw, but like I'm looking at a picture now that I did today at church. We were rushing around. I didn't have time to set the white balance the way I normally do. I did, I changed the setting real quick. And when I got home, it was super yellow to me. And looking at this picture, yes, I can change it, but I'm all the way at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I should have had more information there or something. I feel like I should have done it beforehand to make it a lot easier. The picture is still good because it's, this is what I do. But yeah, definitely set it ahead of time.
Yeah, for people that's just starting out, it's good to know like how to get the best quality picture when you're starting.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna take that advice because I needed it. Well,
Right.
tell people how they can connect with you. Tell us if they're interested in learning more about, getting your services or, just connecting overall.
Okay. I can be contacted by email at info@indepthproductions.work. You can go to my website. You can find my phone number, email address. I think you should be able to send an email from the website too at www.indepthproductions.work. It's indepth, INDEPPRODUCTIONS .WORK. And
All right.
yeah, social media, you can catch me there. I usually respond to my clients as long as my eyes are open, so is the business. That's how I carry it. So if it's 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, which people have done it, I'm still booking. So, and I shoot at any time of the night or day. So don't think I close at 5. No, if you're available at 11:30 at night, let's make art.
Okay. What social media handles are you on the most though? Where can people really, really feel like they can connect with you?
Facebook and Instagram are the two that I'm the most active on. Instagram is in_depth_productions, and Facebook I think it's just at in depth production with no S at the end.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys, don't worry if you didn't have a pencil and pad. I will have all of that information for you in the show notes. All right, now that is all the tea that we have to spill today, but don't forget to join us each and every Tuesday as we spill more delicious hot tea. Until next time, namaste.